Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are excited to be here with Paul Temple, who has been doing sound temples on New Earth One Network for several years now. And he is a beautiful musician who really brings in the harmonic architectures of sonic geometry. We're going to learn more about that and experience a mini sound temple in today's episode. But we're also talking about awakening the light in our hearts. This is very important at this time, and we're so pleased to welcome Paul Temple to this quantum conversation. Hi, Paul. Thank you for being here.
Hello. I'm just honored to be here. Thank you. Greetings, everyone. And happy to be connected in this way again, Lauren. And again, so grateful for your support of my work and help getting it out there. So.
Well, we are grateful for your work. We've got comments coming in from our audience that say, thank you. We're so glad to have found Paul.
Good.
The space that you put us in is multidimensional and heart-opening. And so as we start, we know we're going to have a mini sound temple with you, but let's talk about this topic at hand. And actually, let's check in with the current energies on the planet. How are you doing here in this year? This feels like a great year of transformation. How are things going for you?
Things are going very well for me personally. I'm so grateful for this work that has been coming through me since 2014 now, with the bowls and my guide Althor, and just I'm so grateful to be seeing this work helping people and touching people. And the work happens both in sort of the mental intellectual plane of providing information, but also a lot happens through the sound transmissions. The deeper work happens through the sound transmissions with the bowls and the Vajrayana chanting and those ancient Tibetan mantras that have the ability to activate, to resonate, to sympathetically vibrate that light in our heart, which the Tibetans call the Vajra, or the diamond light, which is why my work is called the Diamond Light Network, or the Diamond Light Teachings of Althor. And it's just beautiful work. And the simple summary is that Althor has offered this vision that the next step in human evolution is to create a civilization or a species of humans with awakened hearts. And it's given me some very simple practices to help begin to do that. And there's a lot of other layers of complexity and history and future and past that all go with that, but that's the simple message. So.
And so when we hear your sound temples, there is definitely other beings coming through. We'll witness that, and everyone can see for themselves and feel for themselves. Will you share your story of how Althor came to you? What happened there?
Well, I realize in a way that presence has been with me really all my life. And particularly so in my later musical activities. But as I started to work with the bowls under the name Radiance Matrix, I was off to drive to play at a Wanderlust festival, beautiful yoga festival. This particular one was in British Columbia. So I got into my RV here in Boulder, Colorado, and started to drive up to British Columbia. And pretty much right after I crossed the border into Wyoming, because it's a beautiful drive. I was driving by myself it goes through Wyoming and Montana and Idaho and Washington State, just this luscious wilderness country. All of a sudden this voice started to come through going, "Oh, my premise is very simple. but of great importance to the survival of the human race. I'm going like, wow, what's this? I'm thinking about where am I going to have dinner tonight? And it's like, and this information started to come through about the diamond light and the teachings. And so I grabbed my phone because I was driving and I started to dictate it into my phone. And that was the way the first of these teachings, which is called The Next Step in Human Evolution, started to come through. And there have since then been many other downloads from Althor. These I convert into podcasts and blogs that are on the website, the Diamond Light Network website. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, as I was sort of feeling like, oh, there's a download coming. And so I start to write. I do this through a process of automatic writing. And this one said, well, greetings. My name is Althor, and I am a wizard of some degree, what you might call a wizard, in that I work with light and vibration and color and energy. These things may be rather supernatural to you, but they are very normal in the realms in which I dwell. And that was kind of the formal introduction of Althor as this other presence. And, you know, I've had well, are you part of me? Am I part of you? What's going on? He says, well, I am you and you are me, but we are different. Ha 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 ha. And I go, okay, you know. So that is the enigma of Althor. And a lot of that, well, anyways, I could keep going on for that for a long time, but that answers your question. Thank you.
Well, it seems like he's a very fun and humorous being as well. And definitely he comes through in your music, I'm certain.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, and we'll hear that as we get closer to that experience. So you are a musical wizard in your own sense, as we're going to learn and witness. The Diamond Heart, the Diamond Light Heart Network, the Diamond Light Network, the teaching, that is really important. Can you share the monumental aspects of that teaching?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you raise an interesting point of language there. Just that there are many people who I connect with who are getting similar imagery and information about this diamond radiance. And the diamond heart teachings are actually date back 20 or 30 years to another man who used to live here in Boulder named Almas, I think H.C. Almas. Had a big community of people, did a lot of teachings on the diamond heart. So the phrase of the work that I've been given is called the Diamond Light teachings, the Diamond Light Network, the Diamond Light teachings of Althor, just to differentiate from that. But, you know, the teachings are very simple practices to begin to activate this light in our hearts. It's different than the anatomical heart. We use the word heart for different things. There's also the heart chakra. The heart center is different than both of those. The heart center is what we call the pearl of light, the seed of divine consciousness, the seat of the soul. And it's really our connection into the spirit realms. And our heart, the heart of humanity, really got lost and disconnected and traumatized and repressed over centuries and centuries of what Althor calls the age of darkness that we are coming out of now. So we have this ability to reawaken, reactivate, remember, realize the heart and reconnect through this circuitry of light that's also part of the teachings. And that circuitry connects into the web of light, and we are reweaving that tapestry that connects the human realms with the multidimensional realms, the etheric realms, the divine realms. And so that we can, as a species, begin to reconnect with universal consciousness that we have been separated from for so long. So that's kind of the essence of the the essence and the big picture.
Yes, thank you. So Althor, we're going through some amazing times on this planet. It's really important for all of us to remember that we did choose to incarnate here at this time.
Yeah.
But what does Althor say about, have you asked him about some of the conditions of Earth at this moment? I think we can, when we activate the heart, we can feel that everything is fine. But what does he say anything besides this about our current situation?
Um, Not specifically. I keep getting reminded, and whether this is through him or my own process, that even though it looks like there's there's still a lot of strife on Earth. If we compare the state of earthly consciousness to where it was even 50 years ago, I mean, I was born in the 1950s, and there was so much more contraction, collective contraction, fear. You go back another 20 years of the world my parents grew up in, with the Great Depression, World War II, Nazism and fascism taking over the world. There is so much more light and awareness in our collective now. Now, those old forces are still holding on and still pushing and fighting and grabbing. But I believe that the collective heart of humanity has opened and evolved. A great deal happened in the 1960s that, really opened and awakened. And so there was this big expansion. And we understand that, things move in cycles of expansion and contraction. So, we expand and then we contract, and we expand and contract through the cycles of yin and yang. But what I'm seeing and hearing is that, the light is progressing, the expansion is progressing, the evolution is progressing over this time. And time being that we're looking at cycles of 27,000 years. So, if the turning point was 2012, we're only, 11 years out of that. And in a cycle of 27,000 years, the progress is slow. And does that mean there'll be more radical, dramatic, climactic, anticlimactic change on Earth? It could be. It's really if we continue to awaken. And that's really an individual process. In understanding the nature of consciousness and mind, that's something that we each have to do individually, is choose to awaken our hearts, activate, connect. And then it keeps spreading to those in the sphere. The tide is rising.
Hallelujah, the tide is rising. And that is beautifully said, because so often we are waiting for something to happen. We're waiting for a shift of some sort. 2012, December 21st, 2012, light workers left that time and went home and cried. And we said, but, including myself, I was in Peru for that. And I realized as well that it's one heart at a time.
Yeah.
And things did happen. And in the subsequent years, there's been amazing stories of people's awakenings happening.
Yeah.
And so would you say that this awakening, as the tide is rising, it's helping others awaken their hearts just by maybe the 100th monkey effect, or just by example? And so would you agree that this is something in every human anatomy? Is this heart light? And we all have it. No one's missing it, but we just have to activate it.
Yes, that's the understanding I've been given, is that that potential for a fully awakened heart, as was modeled in Jesus and in the Buddha and in Muhammad and in Yogananda. We've seen these beautiful, radiant hearts incarnate on Earth. And they are models of who we can become as humans. And it is this evolutionary process of helping each other remember, awaken, activate. And this may take 7 generations, It's not something that happens instantly overnight. I hear the word ascension a lot in kind of the current culture of people in the sort of awakening consciousness. And my understanding of the Christian ascension is this sort of automatic, yes, we are going to arise and be enlightened and it will happen to us. And that's not my understanding. We have to do the work, and the work is hard now because the consciousness and earthly reality are very dense and heavy. They're very full of ancestral trauma, collective trauma, fear, and we have to kind of dig through that and clear that out and feel, ooh, yeah, feel that power in our heart to help transcend and cut through and heal and transform all that.
Yes, beautiful. Okay. Here's a question from our audience. Lisa, thank you for this question. Was Althor ever in human form?
Ooh. I'm getting an image of an ancient druid in the pre-colonizational, pre-Christian eras. Also as even coming in as Christian monk, Tibetan, yeah, in a lot of Tibetan. So yeah, I haven't asked this question before, but I'm getting these images of different places where he and I have worked together, particularly in the Tibetan lineages. And he is, yes, he's a wise old sage who incarnates very carefully, but seems like he's not been incarnate for a century or so. Whereas I know I had, from my understanding, my prior incarnation was actually even in Germany during the Third Reich. And so I have been more, I might have been sort of the puppet on earth while he was up there playing the strings. Who knows? Yeah. Interesting concept, yes.
Very interesting. Well, I think it would be very cool to do a sound transmission now, unless there's anything else you want to say beforehand, and then we can come back for more teachings. But I know that the sound transmission brings teachings through it as well.
Yes, it'll take me a minute I have to move back up into my bowl rig there. So if you want to vamp for a minute and maybe talk about some upcoming events, I will be back momentarily.
Okay, beautiful. And again, Paul has a really amazing setup, as we're going to see here, with all the Tibetan bowls. And as you will see shortly, witness shortly, there is Tibetan beings that come through. And so I wonder in our audience, how many in our audience resonates with Tibet, maybe a past life in Tibet. Let us know. Put that in the chat box. I know.
Okay.
Okay.
I am plugged in up here now.
So cool. We are really looking forward to this. Your setup is quite amazing. And again, it's just to be witnessed. So here we go.
There are about 16 tuned Tibetan bowls here. Tuned in that I pick ones that are on pitch, on 440 for those who wonder. I work with 440 so that I can play with other instruments. I do have a few that are an A432 that I play with from time to time. But yes, there is a beauty in the geometric, harmonic, vibrational relationship of the tunings, of the harmonic intervals of the octave and the fifth and the fourth and the thirds. So that enhances the vibrational experience because most Tibetan bowls are not tuned. They're not made to pitch. So I take a lot of time to select those out. But let's go into, I'm going to do a quick induction before we go into the meditation, just so that you can get a little taste. Whoop, I just lost oh well, I guess I won't get that rolled out of reach there. So what I invite you to do is to bring your hands to your heart. You can close your eyes and envision in the center of your chest a pearl of light. Beautiful glowing orb of light, radiating a diamond effervescence. This is a simple opening practice of beginning to activate and remember that light in our hearts, that seed of divine consciousness, shining bright in your heart. Feeling yourself drop into that center of your authentic soul self. And as I move into the chanting, just let the vibrations feed and nourish that light, help it awaken and activate. I'll be working with the mantra, the ancient Vajrayana mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, best known of the Vajrayana mantras. And it means the jewel in the lotus, which is that diamond radiance in your heart. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. All right. Welcome. welcome back.
Definitely that transports us to another place in time, but
Mm.
here right now. And I was sharing that totally reminds us of a Tibetan lifetime that
Mm.
we've had. I'm certain that we've all experienced those lifetimes in this group.
Yeah, Tibet has been amazing that it kind of held the light, the knowledge, this deep, deep human spirit knowledge through the age of darkness. And while that got corrupted, in the Christian church, it got corrupted in the Vedas, I mean, it's just, the age of darkness just corrupted so much. It seemed to really hold pure, high, hidden away in the Himalayas for centuries. And then, through great tragedy, the Dharma was swept out of Tibet into the world, and even though that continues to be a horrible tragedy, it has brought the Tibetan teachings to the rest of the world, and which is a piece in the timing of the awakening, that these what used to be secret ancient teachings are now being offered publicly all over the world. So
Beautiful. Yes, including the ones from Althor, your guide,
hmm
sharing with
yeah.
you
Yeah, and I
the
should mention also my human spiritual teacher is a woman who lives in Vermont named Venerable Dianiawahu. She's a Cherokee by blood, and carries these ancient 27th generation lineage carrier of the Cherokee teachings, the Tslagi teachings, but she's also a recognized Lama, and also teaches the Dharma as through the Vajrayana, Nyingma, and Dzogchen lineages, and so is this interesting balance. I mean, to me, she's an incarnation of Padmasambhava, just an amazing, brilliant, bright star being who also hides away in the mountains of Vermont and is not a very public person, but an amazing being.
wow.
So,
Of Padmasambhava, reincarnation of Padmasambhava. He's powerful.
yeah, yeah. He is the one that brought the Dharma, brought the Buddhist teachings to Tibet, and is a amazing magical. He's called the bestower of the siddhis, which are the magical gifts. So when we're doing mantra to help awaken intuition and awaken sensitivity to subtle energies and empathetic awareness and clairvoyance, all these are the siddhis, the gifts of attainment, and he helps bestow these awarenesses in our consciousness.
Beautiful. Yes. So, as we are talking about the importance of awakening the heart, the
Hmm.
light of the heart, can you share some ways that we can do this as we walk every day and actually stay anchored to it, or return to it if we get knocked off kilter, which that seems to be
Right.
very easy these days to get knocked off kilter.
Yes. So first, that's a reminder just to put in a little note that this coming Sunday, I am offering on your channel as well as on my own Zoom channel, teachings in a practice called the Heart Protector, and this is one of the more advanced of the Althor practices, and it helps work with sacred geometry to learn how to hold out those energies that we don't want coming in. So if you're feeling like you're getting overwhelmed, or somebody's kind of hitting you too hard with psychic energies, or just, it's a simple visualization. You just kind of go, pow, and you put up your Vajra shield, is what the Tibetan practice is called. We call it the Heart Protector practice. So that's offered, going to be on Sunday on your channel, and I don't know if you want to put up a link for that. It can also be found on my Diamond Light Network website. So that's one of the practices. The first and simplest is what we started off with there, of just bringing your hands to your heart, taking a breath and visualizing, feeling. Visualization is a very powerful tool. That's, it's not really fully rated for the power it has to generate consciousness and energy and reality in our world. So if you close your eyes, bring your hands to your heart and just feel, breathe into that orb of light, that pearl of light. It just brings you back in there. And this practice of bringing the hands to your heart is from the Heart Math Institute, another group of people doing wonderful work about helping people remember the powers of the heart. It just helps bring heart coherence, they call it. Coherence being that rhythmic, energetic alignment between our brain consciousness and our heart consciousness. So that to me is the simplest. I also have this practice, this image here of the heart circuit. So this is the orb of light, the pearl of light in the center of the heart. And then there's 6 axes of light, earth, sky, and the 4 directions that radiate out. So earth, sky, 4 directions radiating out. That circuitry connects us into the web of light. And it's just another way of strengthening our heart resonance, our heart luminosity. And the brighter the heart becomes, the more strong and seated we become in our hearts, the light itself becomes its own protection. We become less prone to getting pulled off by, what's going on in the outer world, because that's just this kaleidoscope illusion. The truth here in our hearts is generating our reality, our heart reality. And it's not that it's different, but we are actually creating reality with our heart light, with our consciousness. And the more that we realize that power, the less that we get thrown off by what is happening in the outer world, in that samsara, the Buddhists call it, the confusion of suffering, the suffering of confusion.
Yes, and so on your journey, because of this work that you're bringing through, the channeled teachings that you're bringing through from Althor, what is your personal journey like? Are you triggered anymore, or are you able to use this tool and anchor all the time through that heart?
I can't say I don't get triggered. I mean,
Yeah.
part of my learning is just to accept our humanity and to accept that, yes, as the Buddha says, suffering is part of human experience. So yeah, I don't get triggered like I used to when I was a teenager and in my 20s and, just like, and I come to accept my own imperfections. I've come to accept imperfections in others. We are all in different stages of learning and growing and learning different things. And we're not going to become perfect enlightened beings in this one lifetime. So accepting who we are, each doing our work, following our heart's mission, which a lot has to do now with unwinding family trauma, unwinding family lineages, doing that inner work of not being caught up in the web of our family matrix. That's what a lot of the work is. So Althor expresses that in a simple way of there are 2 primary pieces of work happening in humanity. One is unraveling the pain and trauma and fear of the past, which is the ancestral work, and the other is envisioning and creating a new future. Because there's so many, dystopian, apocalyptic scenarios that are planted in our media, in our collective, planting seeds of a positive future, of a human civilization, a human species with awakened hearts living in peace and harmony on the earth is really important. That we have the ability and the resources to solve the many problems facing humanity. And through coming into unity consciousness, as opposed to the duality of the mental consciousness, we can begin to resolve these and address these and really create a beautiful, not only species of humans, but civilization on Earth.
Yes, I see that world. This is why we've always said, keep your vision, hold your vision of New Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And New Earth is a vibration, and New Earth is within us. And
Oh,
so,
yes.
unity, consciousness, solution energy from the heart.
Mm.
That's how the world will change
Mm-hmm.
with this.
Aho, aho.
Is there
And it,
any advice from Al Thor on the heart solutions, heart energy solutions?
hmm. Hmm. Remember, just it's a matter of remembering, and it's both remembering mentally, but remembering kinesthetically and aesthetically of that feeling of being in our hearts. But remembering also means to put back together. Like realize means to make real the light in our hearts. So talk about it, feel it, be with it, begin to trust and learn how to listen to your heart. These are the skills that we're not taught in our education system, but that we need to begin to develop. And each of us can do that in our own way.
Yeah, that's a big question for those who are beginning to awaken, who start out on their path. That is probably the number one question. How do I know when I'm listening to my heart? How do you recognize the heart wisdom versus the mind information?
There's a quality, part of it is when I question it, I feel into it. And feeling like heart is a word that has different meanings in our English language. So there's sensory feeling, with your hands, there's emotional feeling, but there's also this, we use the word feeling for this perceiving subtle energy, feeling potential. And dropping into the heart to say, does this feel true? Does this feel right? Does this feel in alignment? And that's, allowing that sensory field to begin to create intelligence and permeate it. And I find, sometimes I think something is mental, then I realize, no, that's my intuition saying, do this, don't do that. Trust this, don't trust that. And being aware of whatever those mental loops are that keep running around. But eventually they do become integrated but it's allowing the intelligence to move through the heart into the brain rather than the brain just running its circuitry in the synaptic patternings that it's been taught through earthly existence.
And so that is the importance of the pearl, the lighted pearl, the demonstration that you did with the heart,
Mm-hmm.
because that technique is the forefront of allowing that intelligence to move into the mind. What
Yeah,
are some things that block people from that? Mind loops will block.
yeah. I mean, it's typically the ancestral trauma, the patterning that we've learned to fear that, to ridicule it, to not trust it. So it's beginning to unwind these patterns and to heal what we learned through our family, through our education system, through our cultural collective, to say, oh, that's not really me. That's not really real. This is true. This is me. This is coming from my heart and from my truth, from my intelligence, from my authentic soul self, my sovereign soul self. And developing the awareness to know when it's coming from there and when it's coming from somewhere else.
And primarily, you said the key word, that's through feeling.
Hmm.
Would you say that the heart is feeling and the mind is just mental?
Cautiously, but yes, but a different kind of feeling, and that's
Oh,
the why I use that word, because some people think that's then about emotion, that I have to let my emotions out and feel it, and there is a place of healing emotional blockage and healing emotional wounding, but that's a different feeling. It's a different sensory skill than just purely emotional feeling. And that was a big learning for me through my life, is like, well, what do I feel? I want to feel. And then people just really getting overboard on thinking that their emotions are truth. But emotions, they are a truth, but you can really get caught, lost in the drama of feeling emotions, and particularly when you start being an empath and tuning into other people's emotions and getting really kind of swirled off by that.
yeah, that's a key point. So, okay, the feelings, really having to discern between the feelings of the heart and
Hmm.
emotions, which emotions can put us off kilter.
Right.
And as an empath, many of us are empaths. Lots of people who are watching and listening to this are empaths,
Yeah.
finding it interesting just going out into the world and feeling everyone. Do you have a way that people can discern when it's their energy versus their empathic ability or someone else's energy?
Again, that's a skill to develop, but
Okay.
there are, as we have this heart protector practice, we call it, there are other forms of that, forming a bubble. I know at the Boulder Psychic Institute, they use a rose. You visualize a rose in front of your heart center, and that blocks out unwanted energies. So if you learn to clear that, and part of that has also to do with just the strength and the resilience of your own core, of your own heart light. The brighter that is, the less prone it is to those outer energies. So learning to say, no, no, I'm not going to take that in. Filter screen, come back into your own center and say, that person's feeling that. Rather than me, I feel badly because that person's angry at me. It's like, no, no, they're feeling anger. This is not my causality. Now I'm intertwined in relationship and can help work with that. But that sorting of what is different, what is yours, what is mine, and creating boundaries, and that's what the heart protector shields are. The bubbles are shields. They create boundaries so that you do not take on those energies that you don't want.
Okay, it is a practice and it is strengthening that heart light, the
Mm.
resilience and the strength of the heart core.
Hmm.
That's powerful to remember. And feeling the heart, feeling when we are being pulled into emotions. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, I would love for you to go into, I want to ask those in our Zoom audience, if you've got a question for our beautiful guest, Paul, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you. You'll be on audio only. Or if you've got a question, you can put it in our Q&A box. But Paul, I would like you to speak a little bit more about the Heart Protector class that's coming up.
Mm.
Is there anything else you wanted to add about that? Again, that link is in our Zoom chat box and on our YouTube channel and
Great.
on the webpage that got you here. So share with us anything else about this course. We're going to learn some techniques.
Yeah, it's the one, two, three. It's sort of the third level of practice that came through in the Althor teachings and the Diamond Light practices. Um, so we start with the orb of light. We build the heart circuit, and then this is a more complex geometry of building double pyramids. It's kind of like this. I don't know if you can see that. But this is the construct of the heart protector. So pearl of light in the center, the orb of light, And then there are double pyramids around it, one pyramid rising, one pyramid descending. These horizontals are the heart circuit. So it's learning about to build that energetically around your own energy field. And it is a starting practice. And, I do these practices every day, sometimes several times a day. You are asking, what happens when you get into a crowd and you're feeling overwhelmed? I can just, boom, I just create my heart protector. Or I just build that circuit, or just, boom, strengthen that light. And that helps, boom, put out this pulse of energy. So these are very simple practices, that you can learn very easily. The Vajrayana, the traditional Vajrayana practices are very complex, of these visualizations and the mantras, and so this is kind of a simplified version. And just to clarify, these are not Vajrayana practices, and I am not a Vajrayana Lama. I have been a Vajrayana practitioner for many years. And I did take refuge in the Dharma in 1983 or 82, something like that. But yes, anyways, that is the seat. So we'll do that practice, teach it, and then do a sound transmission to help kind of reinforce it. The mantra for that practice is with the Vajrapani mantra. And Vajrapani is one of those protector guardians. You see him in the Tibetan drawings. He's kind of fiery and fierce looking. And he is a protector to help keep the demons away. And so that's a little bit more about that practice.
Okay, thank you. We are looking forward to that. Again, that is coming up soon. And everything is recorded. So if you can't join live, you can take this as a beautiful session and listen on your own time. Really quite exquisite. Every sound temple that you put on, sound transmission is exquisite. And there's also other programs that you've recorded that are available as well in a bundle. And I know that's very popular with people. One of the things, Paul, is that as one who goes through healing, when we start our healing journey, we're told that we put up shields around our heart to keep, what does that do? That dims our heart light. It keeps love out. So can you explain further the difference between what you're talking about with a heart shield versus a defense mechanism that people generally tend to build around their heart when they've been hurt or traumatized?
Right. Great question. So yes, there is the trauma response of shutting down the heart. Pain, trauma. I mean, trauma was used as an intentional tool for centuries to shut down the human heart, to disconnect humanity from direct connection with the spirit realms, with the multidimensional realms. Burning people at the stake and torturing them. And, when the British would take over a new colony, they'd come in and separate and traumatize. And just through fear and pain, they would, traumatize people, shut them down, and put them in fear. So the heart shuts down. It does go into this kind of remission. And so that's the healing of the heart, is unwinding that, because that state gets then passed on from generation to generation. The fear of expressing your magical powers, that in those families that carried magical powers that were shut down in the burning times, that fear got carried on. If you expressed your magical powers, you and your family were going to be tortured and executed. So that shuts down the heart, and that is a trauma response. And we are learning a lot in our culture now. Again, this is one of the differences of our world now. Understanding trauma response, understanding healing of trauma, both synaptic patterning and nervous system response, is very common language. I mean, they're using it in the military to help unwind, post-traumatic stress syndrome. That's something back, 50 years ago they didn't even talk about. So um, that unwinding of trauma helps open the heart. But then once we have the heart beginning to activate, yes, we need to learn to protect it. We need to learn how to work with it, what its skills are, and and how not to have it get overloaded again. Now, some of that is trauma reactivation, but some of that is also just like, oh, no, we need to be attentive. We're sensitive beings. And the world that teaches us that we're not sensitive is that old paradigm of, I'm a tough guy, I can take anything. But no, we are very sensitive beings. And in being sensitive, we need to learn how to create boundaries, how to protect in ways that are not, destructive, but that also do protect us from the crazy energies that are happening out there.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. And, when we're talking about creating boundaries, I think that could be a challenge for some,
Mm,
as some are hard. It may be difficult for some to speak, and this is throat chakra related to the heart. It
mm,
may be difficult for some to be able to speak or confront a situation that would allow us to set a healthy boundary.
right.
Any thoughts on this?
Um, that's coming into your truth, coming into your power. And I think we've all been through these initiations of finally saying no. And that's, again, creating that boundary. Part of the Vajra shield helps with that, saying, no, I'm not taking that energy on. But that is an initiation, being that you're going to get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until you get to the place where you say no. Because that's why you keep getting pushed back. And I say, no, I'm not going to take that anymore. I've had those experiences, and yeah, it's just there. It's a funny way. That's how we learn, that we have to get pushed into our shadow further and further until we realize that no, my light is stronger than my shadow.
And I think that is what is going on with our world, as we're
Yeah,
coming up
yeah,
to be
yeah,
loved free, where we
yeah,
have that choice. We have the
yeah,
choice.
yeah.
And it feels almost like a pressure cooker to surrender to love.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
beautiful,
beautiful,
beautiful.
beautiful teachings. All
Yeah.
right, we have a question. Here's a question. Linda, thank you for your question. Any suggestions on using our dream time to help us integrate and bring forth our calling and true knowledge of our being?
Mm. Um, Dream time, yeah. Dream walking is a skill, a gift that some people have. Like, some people have clairvoyance, some people have empathetic awareness. Um, so dream walking is a skill. It's a quite advanced skill of being able to walk between those worlds. My teacher Diani Oahu is a dream walker, and I do remember having dream sessions with her, being in a circle with her in the dream. Dream walking is not a particularly strong skill of mine. I wake up in the morning going like, whoa, where was I last night? And at morning time is not good for me because it takes me a while to come out of the dream. There are times where I have dream awareness, and I've done some dream study and been in dream groups, but it's a field, and I've heard others express that the linkage between the dream world filtering through human consciousness and subconscious programming, it's a really wild ride. So there's some dreams that are very potent and integrating and reflective, and there are other dreams that are just totally bizarre, crazy chaos. Um, so I think that's a long way of saying I don't offer a lot of insight or experience in that, other than I go for a wild ride in my own dreams and sometimes write them down. That's helpful. Sometimes they're very cosmic, and sometimes they're very traumatic, and sometimes they're going back into either past lives or childhood experiences. It depends which room of your dream house that you're happen to be exploring. But it sounds like from what the questioner asked that yes, she is aware of this as an integrative process, and it can be. Particularly if you write it and analyze it with a dream therapist, with a Jungian therapist. So.
Yes, and not to get too discouraged when there's the traumatic dreams or crazy dreams, to not get too frustrated by those, but to realize that perhaps that could be a clearing and a cleansing that we're
Right.
taking care
Yeah.
of in dream space.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually had a series of dreams about 10 or 15 years ago that they were really scary when they were happening, and I would wake up kind of shaking and sweating, and it was a series of dreams about a dead baby waking up out of the mud and kind of coming up out of the mud in this face, and my human nervous system response to this imagery was of fear and terror. But what was actually being revealed was that this part of me that had been dormant since my birth. So I had a very traumatic birth experience where I had cord wrap and I died, and then they kind of whacked me back into life. And so I had this birth trauma, and I was doing this birth trauma healing work around these dreams, and it was actually this beautiful awakening of this part of myself that had been dormant in hibernation for 60 years, coming back to life. So what started as a really scary, terrifying nightmare dream ended up being the opening of a sequence of really healing, kind of life-connecting initiations.
Isn't
So
that
that's,
amazing?
yeah, good reminder, yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. And hindsight is 2020, and we know.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, hindsight is 2020. I know those dreams that you wake up from, or even recurring dreams, to see how we can shift, or how there could be an end to a recurring dream because we've gotten the lesson. It's all very fascinating. And so it's such individual work as well. But as you
Yeah,
said, dream groups help too.
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I wrote down love prevails when you were
Mm.
speaking, because that word feels like on our planet, love does prevail.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
that's what takes you on your journey and on your mission.
Hmm.
I want to give you a moment. Is there any other thing that you'd like to share about the Diamond Light teachings?
I'm just grateful of being a vehicle for these. I'm really happy that they are reaching out and touching other people. I'm really grateful for your support. They're very simple practices that many people tell me they've integrated into their lives. Very easy to just drop back into that pearl of light. Um, and it's uh, it's just a reminder that yes, we are doing this work together to help transform humanity in this time. You know, awoke has become kind of a political firecracker out there, but waking up is what we have to do, and I believe that in my heart.
And so you had mentioned the word ascension, that is a key word these days,
Hmm.
and the phrase waking up. If you were to define that, how would you define waking up?
I mean, when you say that, I came back to that image of that baby coming up out of the mud.
Uh-huh.
of, but it's realizing the true nature of our humanity, of our human consciousness, of our human potential, and waking up out of this old dream, the old paradigm that was dark and destructive and controlling and corrupt, and coming in, awakening to your own heart and your own truth and your own light. And yeah, to awakening to this beauty of all of what is.
Yes. And it's fully the heart, awakening to your
Mm-hmm.
heart light.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. And it seems like that, it seems very simple, but maybe it's not so easy.
Yeah.
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 Yes. Allowing the heart to be in charge all the time,
Yeah.
be in front and be in charge, be open and in charge.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Charge also being electric, it's sending out this
Mhm.
electric pulse. So it's not only the boss, but because it's not, the more that you realize that it is the charge rather than in charge, that the boss is this flow of life consciousness that we begin to tap into when we begin to, um, you know, what's the cognate through the heart, begin to think and perceive through the heart. That it's not my individual brain being right or wrong. It's like, oh, I'm in this flow of being, and it's a very different experience. Your perception of being human and being aware and being conscious on earth becomes very different.
And the world that you see when everyone is doing that, what does that look like to you?
I mean, there's suffering in the world, and some of that is the individual choices that people are making. And our work is to help wake up humanity, to help people begin to perceive through unity. So, part of the beauty of this geometry of the heart circuit is that these opposites meet in the heart. So earth, sky, left, right, front, back meet in unity in the heart. So in unity consciousness, there is not this duality of good and bad, right and wrong, and you're doing this to me, and you're good and you're evil, and it all comes into this, no, we are all one and we are connected. And we are creating this, and I choose not to be in unity, in duality. I choose not to make you evil. So, and that's part of it, is extracting from that web of saying, oh, because I really want that politician to be bad. But no, he's just part of the dance. And so, yeah, it's coming into that place of unity, of recognizing, yes, we're all in this dance of light and dark. And we can begin to extract from it. I think it's Rumi who said, out there, beyond, there is a field. Out there is a field beyond right and wrong. I will meet you there.
How many people are ready for that? We're all raising our hands.
Yeah.
And to be liberated from judgment of self and others.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
you got it.
beautiful. Yeah. So
And supporting
wonderful.
each other, as you do. I mean, part of it right now is supporting each other in our communities, in our families, in our networks, to hold this reality, because it's still very fragile as it's awakening. So,
Yes. And that is the importance of the work that each of us watching and listening are doing in our lives, being
mm-hmm,
leaders for others as well. The
mm-hmm.
8 billion people on this planet, that we're here to just live through the heart. I see that world. It's authentic and fun and hilarious, actually.
Yeah,
Yes, with
yeah.
no judgment, and then a personal integrity. So
Uh-huh.
as we close our conversation, this is important. What is this integral integrity? Um, this is a knowing that our heart intelligence brings naturally, because we know what is right or wrong within ourselves.
Mm.
And maybe as we're talking unity, there's nothing right or wrong. when we can be in unity consciousness. We don't judge ourselves for our past behaviors. That could be one thing. But what are your thoughts on that?
So, my understanding of that personal integrity is about alignment of thought, word, and deed. And we can take that back into impulse of heart awareness, impulse, and feeling is there integrity in that. So the more that we seek that alignment of thought, impulse, speaking, and action, then we are creating that alignment. And we also have to have compassion, because we are all wounded humans. We all grew up in wounded families in a wounded culture, and we create dysfunction. We continue dysfunction. I still love chocolate. I eat too much chocolate. I drink too much coffee. But it's like, nah, I love these things, and I don't have to beat myself up because I eat too much chocolate. So and if that's the worst of my sins, I'm in pretty good shape at this point. So and chocolate, is the nectar of the gods, as the Mayans used to say. But
Hallelujah! Absolutely. Beautiful. Paul Temple, thank you so much for this quantum conversation and your beautiful music. Again, we invite those who are joining us to go back and listen to that experience and check out Paul's beautiful special offer, because the sound temples that you create really are sonic geometry landscapes, sonic geometric
thank you.
landscapes. They will transport us into another realm.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I thank you for your support. I do free sound temples every Sunday on Facebook and YouTube through the Diamond Light Network, although this Sunday there's not one because we're doing the Heart Protector event. But most Sundays I do 2 free live streams on Facebook and YouTube every week.
Nice.
And you can tap into those through the website, and then there are paid Zoom events that are the ones that you have on your channel. And so yes, thank you. I'm most grateful for your connection and support. And yeah, really, it's wonderful to hear your wisdom and insight and understanding here. And we're doing the work.
Yes, and we're doing it with love. And we thank everyone for joining us and sharing your light with the world. And hopefully this is empowering you too to step into your gifts and share them with our beautiful world. It is time, and there's lots of support from the guides that guide Paul and all of us. We're all being guided in beautiful ways. So thank you. And again, if you want to explore the beautiful offerings that Paul has, again, that special offer is really quite a treasure trove of beautiful programs that have been created. And it's your own little library of these beautiful sounds. Again, Paul, you are a musical wizard in this sense, and we thank you, and we thank Al Thor. Thank you.
Thank you, Al Thor, yes, wherever you are. And yes, thank you, Lauren, for all the wonderful work you do, and to everyone out there for choosing to be born on Earth in this time. Yeah. So.
And remember that you did choose to be born.
Yeah.
So what do we do with this? We did it. We raised our hand high because we knew, oh, that's all we have to do is bring love to the planet. Got it. Let's go. Okay. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Al Thor. And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste. Yeah.
Namaste. Beautiful. Gracias. Bye. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.